Listen to Salam Media.
The time is just gone 7 minutes to 9 a.m. as we continue with the show this morning. If you have just tuned in, we welcome you to the show. And it's time now to talk about home invasion safety. We're joined on the line by Dr. Mikail Reza Patel, who is the member of the Executive Committee, Gauteng Provincial Community Police Board. Dr. Reza Patel, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me, Inayat.
Yes, wonderful seeing you on the show. I know we meet each other often when we meet up for Jummah Salah, but alhamdulillah, great seeing you with us this evening, this morning, and glad that you are able to join us. Now, we're talking about quite an interesting topic here in terms of home invasion safety. And let's just try and understand, what do we mean by this?
Okay, we need to separate two issues. One is the organized crime approach to invading a home, and then there's the home invasion, which is known as a house robbery. So if we look at both of them, they're both invasion of somebody's home. And then we have the scenario where somebody is at home and it becomes an armed robbery. So we need to look at it in context. So perhaps we should look at the common one first and then look at the organized crime one, Inayat.
Yes, yes, and I think let's start. Obviously, let's address one at a time. So you can go ahead, Dr. Patel.
Okay, so normally what happens is you have members of community that live in areas and they go to work or they go shopping, or perhaps they are at home, and you have a group of people that come and they enter the home forcibly and they steal or rob from the home. Now, stealing would occur when nobody's at home. Robbery would occur when somebody is at home. Armed robbery occurs when the robbers that are present at the home where people are there have a weapon or two, and then it becomes an armed robbery. So now a lot of people say, no, this is organized, and there's a lot of people. So on the right-hand side, you've got a scenario, or sorry, on the one side, you've got a scenario where it is organized crime in certain ways. And on the other side, you've got opportunistic crime, where people do this for a business. And we've got to understand that a lot of these people have been doing this now. Times are hard. People have become desperate. That is no excuse for committing crimes. We know that. But the reality that presents us is that we are the victims. Now, we must know what presents a negative to us as a community. So you've got a scenario where you have a home or you have a business. And generally, in this regard, we're talking about a home invasion. So a home invasion would be where somebody penetrates your property, enters your home, robs your premises. And if you're there, perhaps you get traumatized. There are times when there's injuries. There are times when there are actually fatalities as a result of this. So this is now the negative that we are set with in terms of robberies or home invasions. The word being used, home invasion, means more than one person entered a home forcibly and then removed the contents there and perhaps traumatized or hurt people too.
Yes. Now, in both scenarios, we are at the time of the year, and everybody calls it a silly season, but also it's a season that we need to be very, very watchful about, because we know many people leave their homes, they lock up and they move and they go away on holidays as well. And this is where one needs to be watchful. One needs to take precautions against, any robbery or any home invasions that may take place during this time of the year.
Yeah. Inayat, the biggest factor here is that we need to ensure that our homes are not a target for easy pickings. So let's start there. A home invasion would be easier for a group of guys where they see, for example, your gate can be lifted. It doesn't have the necessary protection to hold the gate in place. The second thing is, if you have a pedestrian gate, in that gate, it becomes an easier picking because they just use a crowbar and ratchet open. Another thing is that we live in a fallacy where we assume we have a little security gate and then we have our wooden door that's there. They just pop these things open with crowbars and so on. So the average time it takes them to enter from the outer perimeter into the inner perimeter, depending on the complication, can be less than 1 minute. If there are a number of issues that present them, up to about 3 minutes, it takes them to enter. So, what you should do is ensure that your alarm is fully functional. If you don't have one, please try and get one. If you cannot afford these things, try and improve the security perimeter around your home by reinforcing your gates, making sure that you have the correct amount of protection to protect your front entries, your rear entries, because this is the way in which they come in. So, a precaution of looking after home is very important. But more than that, ensure that when you go to the shopping malls or you're going visiting and you're returning, that you are extremely vigilant as to who is following you, if there's a possibility of you being followed. Because what may have happened is you may have been at the shopping mall, you may have drawn some money, you could have been wearing very nice jewelry. Perhaps you're wearing designer clothing. All of these things are in the eye of the potential grouping that would like to come and invade your home or your business or wherever it is you are. Now, in most cases, the organized groupings that follow you, these are not people that are without means. They have very good clothing, they dress well, they've got good cars, they live good lives. Because these are the ones that go for high end robberies. I think you've heard of Rolex robberies and so on. So in IAT, we are walking targets, driving targets, moving targets. If you thought you would not wear bling and so on, they look at the quality of the pram that your child is being driven in. I mean, would you have thought of something like that? So the
Mhm.
psychology of criminals has grown tremendously. They look at the handset that you use on your mobile phone. They look at the car that you drive. They take a look at the manicure that you may present yourself with. You may not know the observations of criminals, but they're actually observing. The manifestation of crime is a very high negative at this time. And the reason for that is that we as civil society have for too long allowed ourselves to roam freely without taking precautions. And it's time to take these precautions in it.
Well, certainly, and it comes with your years of experience at community level, and also in terms of what you've observed, what you've learned, and the lessons that you've learned over a period of time through your involvement. Now, just looking at many communities have got the CPF, they've got the community safety apparatus operating within the community as well. And particularly at this time of the year, when we look at the likes of the CPF in terms of being vigilant, we know sometimes, it's unfair to put too much pressure on them. Many of them are volunteers. It's an unpaid job. They've also have got lives. They've also have got families as well. But the linking up with your community local forums, it's absolutely important, and also in terms of keeping them informed, because in many instances one person in the community doesn't know what the next person is doing, Dr. Patel.
Yes. Ensure that you actually belong to your local community group where you communicate with one another. Ensure that you have the correct phone numbers for emergency services and the police and so on. Don't waste your time trying to phone a contact when a crime is being committed. Call 10111. You'll hear about stories about people holding on forever and so on. Yes, that may happen to you or not, but please follow the process. The process there is far better. But whilst you're doing that, perhaps your hands can be busy and you can send a message via your community group to say there's an alarm activation at my house. Please, can someone take note? And these things generally happen where criminals trip the power of your electricity, from the mains to ensure that your battery runs down so that they can invade your home. So you must ensure that at all times that you're vigilant, ensure that you have communication, ensure that you, when you are returning or leaving home, that there are not too many eyes on you and that observe what's going on around you. The issue about people are marking premises and so on, that used to happen in the past, perhaps. That is no longer the norm. The norm now is that these people do it as a business. So, Inayat, please, everybody should take precautions. They should be vigilant. But moreover, they must take note that there is no age to the criminal that is coming to perpetrate the crime. It could be an older person, could be a younger one. The average age presents themselves between 18 and 32. So it looks like the younger people are doing it, but anyone is doing it now. So you might be on the pavement having a chat on your cell phone, and here they come. They might rob you of the phone there, but the gate might be open and they find another opportunity and they invade your home. So ensure at all times that you are not Johnny Bravo on a pavement. Ensure that you are actually vigilant, that you're cautious, especially now. And the thing about CPFs, there is no CPF that receives a salary or an income. We are all volunteers. We don't get a cent for this. In actual fact, we pay out of our pockets. These are truths that must be spoken, and it is not a burden. This is a responsibility we've accepted. And if somebody doesn't like the idea of getting a phone call or having to assist somewhere, then they've accepted the wrong position in the wrong office and they should leave. But realistically, we're all there for our people, and this is how it is in Ayat.
Yes, and just finally talking about young criminals, but also we're talking about our young people, and sometimes we become very, very lax. We become very, very trusting of our young people. You'll send an 18-year-old a boy or a girl with a car and go here, go there. You know, those type of things as well. And also we know that in terms of socializing at this time of the year, sometimes that's on an increase as well. And the vigilance and the awareness that is required as far as our young people are concerned. And, you know, we've heard about kidnappings and those things lately as well. So this is another area sometimes that I think we basically keep our eye off the ball, Dr. Patel.
I think the key to what you said there is the social fabric that holds us together is the fact that we are meant to know where one another is. We're meant to be able to care enough to be able to give advice and receive advice. We're meant to be able to know what is right and what is wrong. You can try and restrict a young person as much as you want to, Inayat. They're not going to listen. But the reality is, young people, what's happening out there is that you are a potential target. Don't for a minute think that you, in some or other way, have a complete blanket indemnity from crime. They're coming for you. It's just a matter of time that you may become a victim. And the thing is, to mitigate the risk of the possibility, you've got to apply all of these measures that allow you these kinds of things. Don't come home alone. Don't get home too late. If you live in a secluded area, call your security company. Let them follow you home. Don't let too many people know you're packing bags to go on holiday. Don't be silly enough to wear the entire wedding shebang to go to the mall. Don't put on your 24 karat jewelry in the eyes of people that can't even afford a pint of milk. So these are things that are very important that we must actually learn as society. We've got to be careful. We've got to be we've got to show empathy in some or other way. We've got to be compassionate, but at the same time, we have to be very cautious. So there's a very delicate balance between saying to somebody, "Excuse me, please don't enter my premises," and saying to them to bugger off. So, we've got to balance those two acts. But with our young people, I believe that there's a very serious negative, because if you look at the crime stats and you look at what's going on with substances, and I think that's another subject that you and I can discuss at another point, they're off at a tangent in a way which is very, very disappointing.
Well, Jazakallah khairan so much for that, Dr. Mikail Reza Patel. We do appreciate you taking time out. I know I've extended your time by a few minutes, but I think it was absolutely necessary. And we do appreciate you taking time out. We wish you safety. Allah accept, Allah reward your efforts for what you've been doing over the years for the community and the safety, inshallah.
Inshallah, Ameen. And you be safe. And to all those people that are listening and viewing, please apply safety, security, and my prayers are with you too. And please pray for me and my family as well. Just be safe, and I think that's the biggest thing.
Ameen. Jazakallah for that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Dr. Mikail Reza Patel, member of the Executive Committee, Gauteng Provincial Community Police Board, with us this morning. Home invasion safety amongst some of the other issues that we need to be aware of. The time is just gone 9:07. We're going to go for a break. We'll be back.